What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be going through my updated top 25 rankings heading into week 13. Now, my rankings are different from most people's rankings. I basically rank the 25 actual best teams right now in my opinion, so I'm ranking these teams off of who I would think would win on a neutral site field if they played tomorrow. So I don't really care about the record of these teams, I care about how they are playing on that field right now. So I guess I could say my rankings are more like power rankings more than anything else. But let's get into my top 25 rankings for week 13. And at number 25, I do have Tulane. I usually don't have group of 5 teams in my top 25 because usually power 4 teams are a lot better than group of 5 teams. But honestly, I think Tulane is a very good football team and I think they could beat a lot of decent power 4 teams. I know they lost 2 games earlier in the season, but they're playing really good football right now. They won their last 3 games by over 30 points and they held their last 3 opponents to 6 points or less. That includes a shutout win over Navy where they won the game 35-0. This is a very good Tulane team and the defense continues to get better. And I do have them at number 25. At number 24, I do have Baylor. Look, from 21 to 25, I think you could put just about anybody in these rankings. But I guess I'm going off of more recency bias because this Baylor team is on a winning streak and their offense has been playing super good lately. Everybody kind of forgot about them because they started the season how people expected them to be, and Dave Aranda got deep into the hot seat, but he has saved his job. Right now, Baylor is 5th in the Big 12 standings, and they are on a 4-game winning streak. And that includes a blowout win over Texas Tech and a win against TCU. I think Baylor is playing like a really good football team, and they are continuing to get better while some of these other Big 12 teams are falling out. So like I said, it might be a bit more recency bias, but I'm going off of how they are playing on the field right now, and I do have Baylor at number 24. At number 23, right ahead of them, I have Iowa State. Iowa State has lost 2 games recently, but they have had a really good season, and that includes a blowout win over Baylor, and I have to have Iowa State ahead of Baylor. And Iowa State did manage to bounce back against Cincinnati, beating them 34-17. They are still slightly alive in the Big 12 title race. And I do think they are a top 25 team, so I do have them at number 23. And a lot of people are going to question me for putting this team at 22, but I actually have Kansas at number 22. Look, I know they are 4-6, and anybody else would not rank this team. But like I said, I am going off of the 25 best teams in college football right now. And I think Kansas is easily the best 4-6 team in the country. I know they have lost 6 games, but 5 of those games were one-possession losses. Now lately, they have gotten big wins over both Iowa State and they also gave BYU their first loss of the season. Kansas has won 3 of their last 4 games and their only loss is a 2-point loss to Kansas State. I think Kansas is playing their best football right now and they could beat just about any team in the Big 12. So I do have them at number 22. And this is going to be another hot take, but I have Florida ranked at number 21. This is the last team that is not above 500 that I have ranked, so you won't be seeing any more teams that aren't above 500 ranked. But I have to rank this Florida team because I think they are a top 25 team when they have DJ Lagway playing. Look, I know everybody makes jokes about Billy Napier and this Florida team, but Billy Napier kept his job, and we have to remember this Florida team was a couple of quarters away from beating Georgia. If DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt in that game against Georgia could have been a different story. And when they got DJ Lagway back, they beat LSU. Look, without DJ Lagway at quarterback, this Florida team doesn't come anywhere near the top 25. But with DJ Lagway at quarterback, I think this is a top 25 team in the country. And they have a chance to prove it this Saturday when they play Ole Miss. I'm not expecting them to win that game, but I expect them to keep it somewhat close. And I do have Florida at number 21 because I do think they are a good football team. At number 20, I have Missouri. And I know they had those 2 bad blowout losses to Texas A&M and Alabama, but recently I think the offense has been playing a lot better. They surprisingly almost beat South Carolina on the road, and they had a really good offensive performance. They've really been getting the run game going, and those offensive skill position players are stepping up for this team. Maybe this is SEC bias, but they do play in the toughest conference in college football, and I don't think Missouri is a bad team, and they're playing a lot better right now, so I do have Missouri at number 20. At number 19, I have Arizona State. I have to have Arizona State in my top 20. They have been playing really good football lately, and they are on a winning streak. Kenny Dillingham and this Arizona State team has had an amazing turnaround. They are a very young team and they continue to get better every week. Sam Levitt has stepped up at quarterback and they have a game changer at running back with Cam Scatabo, who is one of the best running backs in the country. Arizona State might just be the best team in the Big 12. They will have to prove it and win the Big 12, but there's still a lot more we need to learn about this Arizona State team. But for now, I do have to rank this team at number 19. I've been really impressed with them lately, and the defense gets better every week. At number 18, I have Boise State. If they didn't have Ashton Jeanty, this team would not be a top 25 team, but Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in the country, and he is a huge difference maker for this team. I don't just think Boise State is a good group of 5 team, but I actually think they're a good football team, and I think they could compete with some good teams in college football. They did it against Oregon earlier in the season. They were very close to winning that game. Obviously, Oregon is a lot different of a football team right now. Oregon was not playing their best football against Boise State. But Boise State has been super consistent this year, and they have beaten every other team outside of Oregon. And most of the games have been a dominant fashion, and I think they are the best group of 5 team in the country. So I do have them at number 18. At number 17, I have Clemson. I think you could make a case for Clemson to be lower, or I think you can make a case for them to be higher. They've been really inconsistent this year, but I do think they have one of the best defenses in the ACC, and I think that's good enough to get them at number 17, even with the offensive struggles they have had lately. They had that bad loss to Louisville, but I think they proved themselves worthy of being an ACC championship contender when they beat both Virginia Tech and Pitt on the road. So I do have Clemson at number 17 for now. At number 16, I have BYU. They are kind of in the same boat as Clemson. I think they could be ranked higher or possibly even lower. I am personally not too high on BYU. I haven't been all season. They've been slipping away in one possession games all year. And I finally predicted them to lose a game, and I was correct because I predicted Kansas to actually beat them. BYU has been really fortunate with forcing a lot of turnovers, but I still think they aren't very talented of a team, and I'm only putting them at number 16. Right ahead of them, I have Colorado at number 15. I think they are the best team in the Big 12 right now, and I would say they are the safe bet to win the Big 12. Unlike BYU, Colorado continues to get better and better every week, and they have been winning in dominant fashion. They also have 2 of the best football players in the country, with both Shadir Sanders and Travis Hunter, who make a big difference. They've been running the ball a lot better, and the defense has taken a massive step up, and I do have to have this Colorado team at number 15. I think they are legitimately a good football team right now, and they are trending in the right direction. At number 14, I have Texas A&M. I would give Texas A&M the edge over Colorado because of Texas A&M's defense. But Texas A&M also has some offensive upside when Marcel Reed and that offense is rolling. They run the ball super well. They play very good defense. Nothing much to say about this Texas A&M team. I think they are a very solid SEC squad, and they are still in the mix for the college football playoffs. And I do have Texas A&M at number 14. Right ahead of Texas A&M, I have the team that blew out Texas A&M. I have South Carolina at number 13. Shane Beamer and the South Carolina team is playing like a very good football team. I don't really think there is a direct path to the college football playoff, but I think if South Carolina did find a way into the playoffs, they could shake a lot of things up because they are playing like one of the best teams in the country right now. Lenore Sellis has stepped up at the quarterback position, and they have one of the best defensive lines in the country. Shane Beamer always has this team playing their best football in November, and they are only going to get better. I'm expecting them to win out and go 9-3 with a big win over Clemson. I don't think it will be enough to get them in the playoffs, but I do have the South Carolina team at number 13. They are a very good football team. At number 12, I have SMU. It's really hard to rank this SMU team because they haven't played really any good teams, but they have also played a lot of opponents in the ACC who are above 500 on the schedule. And it's not like they are just playing cupcakes, and they've been pretty dominant. I think it's very likely that SMU will play Miami in the ACC championship game, and I think they have the potential to challenge Miami in that game. And maybe SMU has the defensive advantage in that game. SMU has also been one of the best teams in the country at forcing turnovers, and they have one of the top scoring offenses in the country. I'm still trying to figure out this SMU team, but for right now, I think 12 is a good spot for them in my rankings. Right ahead of them, I have Penn State at number 11. Now, I know some of you might be wondering why I don't even have them in my top 10, but I think Penn State is a bit overrated. We see it every year with this Penn State team. They beat the teams that they should beat, but they always lose the big games. They lost to Ole Miss last year in a big game, and they also always lose to Ohio State. I think Penn State is a team with an elite defense, but I think Penn State is also a team with a very average offense. I'm taking any of the teams I ranked ahead of Penn State on a neutral site field, so I do only have Penn State at number 11. And right ahead of them at number 10, I have Indiana. Look, I think Indiana is a better football team. They've looked pretty good this year. They've played pretty similar competition to Penn State, but they've been even more dominant than Penn State, and I think they have the coaching edge. I'm not going to rank Indiana any higher because I don't think they are that talented, but I do have them at number 10. This is a very good football team. And with Ohio State losing their center for the season, they might have a shot to upset Ohio State in that game. But I do have Indiana at number 10. Right ahead of them at number 9, I have Miami. Look, I think when Miami is playing their best football, they have the potential to beat anybody in the country. But the defense is still an issue. And if the offense can't live up to its standard, then this Miami team is going to lose games. And it showed exactly why when they lost to Georgia Tech. I still think this is a very talented football team, and they have one of the best quarterbacks, probably the best quarterback in the country with Cam Ward. So I do have Miami in the top 10, and I have them at number 9. Right ahead of them, I have Tennessee at number 8. Look, I know they lost to Georgia last week, and they didn't look great in that game, but it was also on the road, and smart college football fans would have saw that coming. Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs never lose back-to-back games. But it's pretty simple with this Tennessee team. They have one of the top defenses in the country, and they have an offense that continues to get better every week. And they have a beast at running back with Dylan Sampson, and they are very good at running the football. So I do have this Tennessee team at number 8. At number 7, I have Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a team that continues to get better and better every week, and I think they have the potential to make some noise in the CFP. Everybody is getting distracted by the SEC and some of the other things going on around college football, but nobody is talking about how dominant this Notre Dame team is. Everybody's kind of forgotten about them because of that bad loss to NIU. But Notre Dame is 2 games away from being a lock for the college football playoffs. They have been dominating everybody they have played. Riley Leonard has stepped up at quarterback, and they are one of the best teams at running the ball in the country. Look, I think you can make a case for Notre Dame to be higher, but we still need to see more from them. They haven't really played anybody in a bit, so I do only have them at number 7. Right ahead of them at number 6, I have Texas. I know the AP poll and the college football playoff rankings have them higher, but I think Texas is a bit overranked. Their best win on the season is against Vanderbilt, and we saw what happened when they played a worthy team. They played Georgia and they got dominated. Last week they struggled a bit against Arkansas. They only scored 20 on them. I think Texas has one of the better defenses in the SEC, but the offensive line might be a concern, and they do need to run the ball better. So I do only have Texas at number 6. And at number 5, right ahead of them, I have Georgia. I have to have Georgia ahead of them because Georgia dominated Texas. It just depends on which Georgia team you see show up, but I still think this team has the potential to go all the way and win the Natty. Because that is what Georgia has done under Kirby Smart, and we saw that offense step up against a very good Tennessee defense. If we see that Georgia the rest of the season, they have a shot. So I do have Georgia at number 5. Right ahead of Georgia, I have Alabama at number 4. I think Kalen DeBoer has figured it out, and they have been playing very good football lately on both sides of the ball. They had a dominant win over both Missouri and LSU. They struggled for a couple of weeks, but I think they are playing their best football right now. And as long as they can lean on Jalen Monroe's skill sets, this team has the potential to go all the way. Kalen DeBoer has been in the big stage before, and I do have this Alabama team at number 4. At number 3, I do have Ole Miss. I have to have Ole Miss this high because they absolutely dominated Georgia. I think Ole Miss has one of the best defenses in the country. But Jackson Dart is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he is near the top of the country in passing yards. The Ole Miss offense really struggled half of the season. They were struggling with turnovers, and they weren't good in the red zone. But if Ole Miss can play their standard on offense, this is a national title contender. I know it's crazy to say, but this Ole Miss team is one of the best teams in the country right now. And I do have Ole Miss at number 3. And at number 2, I have Ohio State. I might drop them lower depending on how they play against Indiana and depending on how the offensive line looks. But I trust them over any SEC team right now. They've been super consistent outside of that bad game against Nebraska, and their only loss is to arguably the best team in the country in the Oregon Ducks, and that was a game that they were very capable of winning. I think this Ohio State team has all the pieces to win the national championship. I know people have questions about Ryan Day, but this is a very talented team. And no team in college football doesn't have weaknesses. and I do have to have Ohio State at number 2. And at number 1, I have the Oregon Ducks. They have looked like the most complete team in the country. I know some people might overreact to that close game they had to Wisconsin, but people have to realize they are banged up, and that was like their 7th game in a row without a bye week. And it was on the road at Camp Randall on a Saturday night. Oregon was without their best offensive player in Tess Johnson and without their best defensive player in Jordan Burch. But they now have a bye week and they will be ready for the postseason. And when this Oregon team is healthy, they are easily the best team in the country in my opinion. So I do have the Oregon Ducks at number 1. But anyways, that is going to do it for my Week 13 Top 25 rankings. You guys let me know what you think about my rankings down in the comments below. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content. And we basically cover everything on this channel, so definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.